I mean, this is a hot button issue where rationality takes a back seat. So in the grand scheme of things, I think this is, what we have is something with a very low mortality rate and high contagion, and something that is of low risk to a young person is of high risk to an older person. Essentially, the right thing to do would be to not have done a lockdown for the whole country, but to have, I think, anyone who's at risk should be quarantined until the storm passes.
All right, but this storm is coming again. You're talking a lot about saving humanity, but these are humans that die in the process.
Everybody dies.
I know that, Elon. I get that.
The question is, what on balance serves the greater good?
And you feel lockdowns did not do that?
No. This is a no-win situation. It has diminished my faith in humanity, this whole thing.
Because?
The irrationality of people in general.
And so when you say it questions your faith in humanity, it's that people are irrational around it.
Yes.
And you wish they would not be. So when you see, will you get a vaccine? What do you do with your own family? You won't get a vaccine. Why is that?
I'm not at risk for COVID, nor my kids.
Mm-hmm. So you won't do that?
No.
And what do you do now? Do you just go to work? Is that how you're conducting yourself and your family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This entire time, SpaceX has been at work through this entire thing. We didn't skip a day. We had national security clearance because we're doing national security work. We sent astronauts to the space station and back. Tesla has been, apart from several weeks where we're shut down by the state and then the overzealous Alameda County, which is a travesty. But apart from that, we've been making cars this entire time, and it's been great.
All right, let me ask you one more question. So you were arguing for the car maker's point of view. Let me take a point of view as someone who's worried about their family, if they have elderly people or stuff like that. How do you answer your employees? You say, I think you're putting me and my family at risk. What do you say to them then?
Great, stay home.
Stay home. That's it.
Yeah.
Do they get penalized for that, or just what can they do if they feel that they are at risk?
I mean, if they have a legitimate reason to be at risk, then they should stay home.
All right. So when they decide, this is your policy, when these workers are worried, and do you feel that they have I want to just get back to that. Put yourselves in their shoes. Do you feel they have a good reason to be worried? And do you feel a duty to pay them and make sure they're okay, despite the fact that you don't agree with how they feel about COVID versus how you feel about
Just
COVID?
move on.
Just move on. That's what you want to do.
Cara, I do not want to get into a debate about COVID situation.
Okay. All right. Okay. I want to finish up talking about.
You want to end the podcast now? We can do it.
Okay. What do you say? No, we don't. I don't want to end it. I just want to understand where you've at. But I do. I feel like I understand where you are. So one of the things.
And I should say, we've also spent quite a lot of time with the Harvard epidemiology team doing antibody studies. Tesla makes the vaccine machines for CureVac. Gates said something about me not knowing what I was doing. It's like, hey, knucklehead, we actually make the vaccine machines for CureVac, that company you invested in.
Seems like you have a lot of passion around this topic, like that you feel this has been blown and that there are better ways to do it, which is what you do in your other parts of your life, correct? Whether it's Tesla or SpaceX, the rockets aren't being reused. The cars aren't electric. The way we address viruses is irrational.
It's very irrational. I probably should allocate some time to this more. I mean, I have allocated some time to this, but only less than 1%. So maybe it should be more than 1%.
You should stop complaining about how irrational people are and do something about it. That's what I say to you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm just trying to figure out, honestly, I really am just trying to do the most amount of good with the time that I have on this earth. And, not always succeeding, but that's the goal. And then it's like, okay, man, I got to do this without my brain exploding, and going too crazy. So then it's like, okay, if I got to allocate brain time to this one thing, I got to take it from someone else. What's that going to be? And then I've tried just working myself to the bone, but you just can't keep doing that.
No, that didn't work. What do you do to calm down?
Well, I don't really get to.
Well, not your brain exploding. What do you do to stop your brain from exploding?
It's more like I just have too many thoughts in my head and then I can't go to sleep. And then it's not really so much a question of anxiety or fear or anything. I just got too much stuff in my head. It's like having too many browser windows open or something. Like, oh, okay, the computer is like running, is overloaded. And then you can't close the browser windows and you can't go to sleep. So that's challenging. And then endurance definitely does go a little bit down as time goes by, and hopefully wisdom gets a little better. I don't know, just trying to be as useful as possible. That's generally my advice to people, is try to be useful. It's very difficult to be useful to others. To do a genuinely useful thing to others, that's what we should all be trying to do.